How's it going, guys? Matt with BAAM Ranch. Thanks for watching. So today I figured we would wrap up our 60 Days to a Better Life series. If you're not familiar, go back and watch the other videos. It's just some simple, easy tasks. Well, maybe not all of them are easy, but they are simple tasks that you can do. 20 of them. We're going to go ahead and stop it with this video. So it'll be 20 things that you can do. And over the course of 60 days implementing these, it's going to be damn near impossible to not have an improvement in your life in general, as well as become a much more prepared person, you know, with this whole prepper stuff that we like to do. As stated in the videos before, this was kind of inspired by Jack Spirko of the Survival Podcast. Some of these are just absolute direct copies of what he did, and the others are, you know, some stuff that I kind of put my own twist on. So I want to give Jack Spirko of the Survival Podcast credit for at least the inspiration on this video. So real quick before we jump in, if you wouldn't mind doing me a favor and hit the like button, subscribe, leave me a comment and tell me what you think about it. Do all of that stuff for the YouTube algorithm. It's literally the most free thing that you can ever do. So come on, man, help me out, please. All right. So task number 16, learn a method of food preservation. If you already know how to preserve food, well then learn another one, you know. And it doesn't matter what this is. You'd be canning, lacto fermentation. If you haven't at least looked into lacto fermentation, that's amazing. The stuff you can do with that, and it's simple and it's easy, and a lot of people are a little bit worried about how safe it is. It's been hundreds and hundreds of years, depending on what resource you look at, possibly thousands of years that people have been lacto fermenting items for preservation purposes. And here's the kicker: as a human, if it has gone bad, you're not going to eat it. Like you're going to say, oh, that ain't right, man, I ain't eating that. So the safety of that, like I said, do some research and learn how to do it correctly, but look into that. Dehydrating, simple enough. You see like these thru hikers and stuff, they'll take, you know, tomato soup and they'll just pour it out and dehydrate it and take it with them like a fruit roll-up, and then mix it with some hot water. Tomatoes. My father-in-law yesterday was talking about how putting tomatoes in the dehydrator and then grinding them up to like a tomato powder and making tomato soup and, you know, other things like that. Dried peppers, dried whatever. I don't have to give you all the examples. You know, you kind of think through that for yourself. Pickling or water bath canning. And I tell you what, if you have an over surplus of peppers and garlic and onion and tomato in your garden, which you probably should be having a surplus of that, make the best damn homemade salsa you've ever had in your life, and put enough up to stack it through the whole winter. And like I said, it's going to be the best you've ever had. So like I said, the water bath canning methods, look into that. You know, then there's the other, you know, the more expensive stuff. If you're in a spot where you can afford a freeze dryer, dude, right on, man. I respect you. And that's, we want to buy one, we just haven't been able to yet. One often overlooked method of food preservation is keep it on the hoof or in the root, right? Live food never spoils. Chickens, if I keep them alive and feed them the waste stream of my garden and let them pick the ticks and the bugs out of the yard and all of that stuff, I don't know, I think that counts as food preservation. It lets me use it at another time, right? So I think that counts, you know, keeping food on the hoof. The next one, we're going to go to financial literacy. If you're unfamiliar with the term financial literacy, I don't know if I have the time to necessarily explain it in this short video, at least in much depth, but it's understanding how people that actually succeed with money, how do they think about money, right? There's 2 newsletters that I think everybody should be receiving. One is go to investopedia.com. They don't know I exist. I don't get anything for saying this. And sign up for the word of the day. Let me adjust my light here. There we go. Sign up for the word of the day. It's going to send you a word every day to your email that has to do with something in the investing world, right? Something in the financial world. And it'll give you the word, the definition, how it's used, and an example of how they use it, in normal conversation. It's kind of hard to learn about something if you can't speak the language of that which you want to learn. Another newsletter I have written down is Market Briefs. There's a whole bunch of newsletters. Market Briefs and Morning Brew, I'm not going to list them all, but I really like Market Briefs. It's put out by Jaspreet Singh of the Minority Mindset YouTube channel. It's simple, it's easy to read, it's not confusing, and you'd be surprised how much you can learn about the financial world and investing and making money and insulating yourself from economic troubles just by keeping up with what's going on in the world. Along with financial literacy, you need to learn the difference between what could be called good debt and bad debt. Bad debt, credit card consumer debt, that's not ever really considered good debt. But it might be a wise choice to start an excavating company and finance an excavator, right? What if it's not starting a business? If you have a house that's financed at 3% interest, and inflation is currently 7, 8, 9%, it probably, you could make the argument that it makes a little bit more sense. These mosquitoes and flies are gonna drive me nuts. It probably makes a whole lot more sense to keep that house, keep that note going on that house. 3% interest, are you gonna pay that off with money that's costing you, 9%? So that's just quick examples of good debt versus bad debt. Debt that produces you more income. Debt that allows you to bring more money into your home or your business or whatever. Another thing I want to talk about is cryptocurrency. And when we're talking about cryptocurrency, and I know everybody hates to talk about Bitcoin and all of that, but it's something you at least need to educate yourself about. You don't have to participate in that world, but you do need to learn about it. And when we're talking about cryptocurrency, we're talking about Bitcoin primarily. And you could consider Ethereum. Now, we're under, let's not kid ourselves. We know what's happening with the American dollar. It doesn't matter what currency it currently is, the dollar, the euro, the ruble, it doesn't matter. We know what is currently happening with all of those forms of currency. All of those monetary dreams, the fiat, right? And eventually, we're going to need some way to conduct business without that. And this is where people like to throw out, the gold standard, we just need to go back to gold and silver. And okay, cool. Let's pretend this shed behind me is packed full, 50-50. One side of it is solid gold bars, gold coins, gold denominations of gold, right? And the other side is nothing but silver. And I can go over here to my neighbor and we can do business with gold and silver. But what if I want to do business with somebody that's 3 states over? How do I do that? Well, unless I'm willing to drive all the way over there with this huge amount of gold or silver, there's not much I can do that with. You know, if you want to barter, you know, am I going to trade eggs to someone? I live in Texas. Am I going to trade eggs to someone in Detroit? No, it's just not practical. And that's where our modern, at least current day, currency and financial system, that's the benefit that we get from it. And with cryptocurrency, it allows us to get away from that. And a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin, right? And it's broken down into smaller denominations, Satoshis, and it's decentralized. For one, if you hate Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency, you need to educate yourself about it. But it allows us to make international transactions. It offers security. You learn about what a Bitcoin wallet is and why they call it a wallet, and learn about self-custody of Bitcoin. Learn about how it's transferred, you know, through the proof of work method, for lack of a better word, and learn about how I, sitting here in Texas with a smartphone, can immediately do business with somebody in France, or let's say it's somebody that is somebody that we've got sanctions against. Like, I really need to get something from Russia. You know, let's skip past the whole Russia, you know, bad thing, which, yes, I agree with that. And I don't necessarily think that Ukraine's any better, but just remember, whenever two people disagree, both of them can simultaneously be shitty people. Just keep that in mind. But anyway, move past that rabbit hole. But with Bitcoin, it allows us to be able to make those long distance international transactions without any type of, you know, currency exchange and exchange rates of the dollar versus the euro. And, you know, we don't have to do any of that. A Bitcoin is a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin, or a smaller denomination of X number of Satoshis. So educate yourself on cryptocurrency, and, you know, spend a week or two and take a deep dive into it. Now, here's another one that everybody's really going to hate, and this is number 18, AI. And I'm talking about ChatGPT and the variants of it, right? I think, you know, Google Bard, you know, things like that. Here's what caused me to start looking into learning about ChatGPT and others. It doesn't matter which branch of the media I watch, whether it be the, you know, the far right, the far left, it doesn't matter. You know, maybe it's some independent form of, you know, traditional media. They are all telling me that AI is dangerous. And they are all telling me that it's bad for us, right? Well, whenever both sides of that aisle agree that something is terrible, and that's the narrative that they push, that's a signal to me that I probably need to learn something about it. They say it can be weaponized and used to sway elections. Wouldn't it be smart, if you know somebody's going to weaponize something, to put yourself in a position where you're just as effective as using that weapon as your opponent is? Yes, it is. And you can run from AI and ChatGPT, and you can hide from it, and you can insist that it's not going to come into your life and you're not going to use it. That's okay. You do that. Do whatever you want. I don't care. You do you. But in the very soon future, the very near future, the job that you're looking for, you're going to be in competition with people that used AI to assist them in writing their resumes, their cover letters, all of that. I still know how to do long division. If somebody wants me to teach them how to do it, I can sit down right now with a pen, pencil, and paper and do long division. But I still use a calculator, right? You're probably watching this on a smartphone. We need to embrace the technologies that are going to help us as they come available. And all of this bullshit that people say about, oh, well, it's going to be right in all the research papers for college. Well, that's because they don't know anything about what they're talking about. AI is a fairly steep learning curve, and I decided I needed to learn about it, and I was surprised at the level of skill that it takes to get to a point where you can use it effectively. And after, a week of kind of looking into it and researching it and trying to learn how to use it, I'm still a very, very beginner level, but still at I've sort of made it to that place where someone who has never really touched it ever, to talk about the basic things, it's way over their head, right? And that's not bragging, like I said, I'm still at a very basic level. But being able to write up business plans and articles of incorporation and operating agreements for a business that you may start, these things would cost you thousands of dollars. Jack Spirko said, pretend you're super rich and you want to hire 30 experts to tutor your child 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in an instant. He can call them up and make a phone call and they'll answer any question that they have. Well, ChatGPT can replace that. Not only can they replace that, but it doesn't call in sick. It doesn't get tired and annoyed whenever your child says, I still don't understand. Explain it again, please. Explain it again. Explain it again. Explain it in a different way. But what do you mean by that? It truly is probably one of the more powerful tools that I've seen, at least in my lifetime. And that's a bold statement. And I've barely even begun to scratch the surface of what it's capable of and kind of learning my skill on how to use it. So educate yourself on that, learn how to use it. And if it ain't your jam, then ignore it. But at least put forth the effort to learn how to use it, learn how it's used and how to recognize when somebody else is using it, in some political post on social media or whatever. There's just no good reason to not learn how. Number 19, we're going to talk about a paperwork or a firebox kit. And what this consists of is all of your legal paperwork, current photos of everyone that you care about, maybe some sort of encrypted password information. Find some way to encrypt that only you and your family know. Quick Google search can help you with that. I'm not going to get into how to do that. All of your financial records, that could be a pretty big deal. If only one person in your family knows anything about your financial world, if something happens to that person, do I have to explain how that would not be a great deal? So gather all of that stuff up and put it, in a safe spot. Lock it up in a box, a firebox, or a couple of file folders. Have a portable version of that to take with you. Have an electronic version saved on a flash drive, a physical version of it, and then make a copy of it and find somebody that you trust. Your best friend or a family member, somebody that you can trust, to say, hey, can I keep a copy of this box of information at your house? That way, if a tornado comes and blows away everything you have, and it's a search and rescue situation, you've got all of the paperwork you need, you've got all of the legal documents that you need, you've got current pictures of your family members, your pets, all of this stuff that would obviously be important to have in a situation like that. So put together a paperwork box or a firebox or whatever, call it whatever you want, but do something like that. And what I'm going to end with today on the 20th thing is you've got to teach people how to do stuff. There is no such thing as a person on this earth that does not know something well enough that they can teach other people how to do it. And that is an overlooked responsibility that we all have. We need to teach everybody we come into contact that's willing to listen how to do every single thing we know, any skill that you know. Maybe it's a physical labor skill, right? Maybe if you're a carpenter, you need to teach somebody how to do it. Are you a blacksmith? Teach somebody how to do it. I know blacksmith, there aren't very many of those around anymore, but are you a computer programmer? Then teach someone how to do it. Fixing cars. Maybe you're just a really good people person and you can figure out some way to teach your kids how to interact with other people. A skill that is not passed on to somebody else is entirely wasted. That's the most selfish thing you can ever do, is to take a skill that you have and not spread the knowledge of how to use that skill to every single person that's willing to listen to you. Teach everything you know, everything. Even if you don't know it perfect, teach what you do know. It's not some kid's fault that he doesn't know how to change the tire that went flat on his car. It's pretty common to see some, a 17, 18-year-old kid that doesn't know how to fish. It's not their fault. Nobody taught them how to do it. So that responsibility lies on you and me and everyone around us. We have to teach everything that we know to anybody that's willing to listen. Well, anyway, y'all let me know if there's anything y'all have to add to this, and we'll catch you next time. You guys be safe.